Hello world! Today, resumes, a necessary evil. Resumes. I dreaded them. They were just this necessary evil that forced you to have to write who you are on a piece of paper, describing yourself in an idealistic professional manner that is just a facade of who you might really be. In this episode, we're just going to go through what makes a good resume, what makes a bad resume. So let's go. It's not good. Right after college, resumes, nope, didn't like them. I mean, maybe you can relate. Maybe you can't. Maybe you've already got a resume. Great! You've got a ticket to a door, but that's really what they are. In my eyes, they are just a ticket. They're a ticket to get you into the door of a job, of the career, of a hiring process. That's what I saw them as. But really, they are much more than that. So what is a resume? Well, I like to think of it as a fact sheet that professionally describes who you are. That just seems so simple, right? Well, it isn't, but it can be if you break it down and understand how a resume is actually used. More on that to come though. So I mentioned earlier that I really hated resumes. That was until I found myself on the receiving end of resumes that I discovered what they really are. Basically, I see them as a character sheet from the game D&D. I know not every computer programmer plays D&D, but it's a piece of paper that describes your character. It's not really your character, it's just a piece of paper. That's kind of what a resume is, because it has your name, it has your skill set, it even has your backstory, and it's all laid out in a very, coordinated manner. Whenever I looked at it like that and I said, wait, you're just breaking it down to this little simple format that describes you in a box, but really it only describes so much of you. It doesn't have to give the exact true definition of you. It's just an overview of you. Seems simple, but like I said, the trick is understanding how they're used in the process of getting hired. A resume's main purpose is to get you an interview. Along the hiring process, a resume is interpreted differently by each entity that receives it. Let's go ahead and look at the resume lifecycle. That is not that good. Why do I keep drinking it? First, you gotta create a resume. Second, you find a job that you're interested in. Next, you refine your resume and try to make it adhere to the job you're interested in. Now, with your refined resume in hand, it's ready for submission. You can submit it directly, online, via a recruiter, or even Morse code. A person or a system then takes that resume and places it among others for evaluation. Then a person or a system will filter those resumes into a shortlist. If your resume is selected, then it'll probably be viewed by multiple different types of people. It could be developers, project managers, human resources, QA. All kinds of people in the company could potentially see your resume. After your resume has been reviewed by several people and the go-ahead is given, then an interview is scheduled. Finally, the resume lands in the interviewer's hand for the interview. They will usually use said resume as a device for discussion. What do I think makes a good resume? I've seen hundreds of resumes. I've seen good ones, I've seen bad ones. But in my eyes, I think that the best resumes are the ones that are simple and easy to read. When I receive a resume, I never assume that the hiring manager actually selected the right candidate. Sure, I should trust them, but I always make sure to review it for myself and say, really, does this candidate fit the description of the job that they're basically being interviewed for? First thing I look at is the format. The best formatted resumes, from my perspective, are really just the ones that are simply laid out and easy to understand. First off, I look and I say, okay, who is this person? What's their name? What's their contact information? Then I look at their mission statement, which is usually next, and that usually is a paragraph that describes something about them. Then usually you'll see a skills list or a languages list, and if I see every single language under the sun, I'm going to wonder how much you actually know. So I would say that you would want to list the languages that you're most comfortable with toward the top. Next, I look at the person's work history, to see what kinds of things that they've done in the past. And finally, I look at their education, see where they went to school, or even if they went to school. Also, heads up, you don't have to always go to school. I've hired people who have just been self-taught. Don't lie on your resume. It doesn't do anything for anybody. It actually hurts you professionally. A good interviewer can detect a lie pretty quickly. It's so much better to just be open and honest. You don't need to know everything. Don't lie and say that you do. It hurts you in the long run. Just be open, be honest, and admit to what you don't know. That's fine. You are not expected to know everything. No one does. I think good resumes are tailored to the job you're after. You can take your skill set and kind of spin it into something that fits that job description. I mean, sure, it's not going to be one-to-one, but you can take some skills that you know and see how they might apply to that job. And then with that on your resume, you can then take that to the interview and use that as a discussion topic to say, I have experience in this, which translates to this. The whole idea is just to spin it. You can take your job history and try to fit it into the job that you're applying for. So artificial. All right, so finally, we're at the structure of a resume. So what do I think builds a good resume? Well, I would say at the very top, you need to put your name and your contact information. Beyond that, I really wouldn't put anything else. You don't need to put, here's my Twitter handle, and here's my Facebook page, and here's my LinkedIn account. You really don't need any of that. Really, all you need is that name, maybe your address, and your email. That's it. It's simple. Don't overdo it. Next up is your mission statement. Now, this is simply a paragraph that best describes who you are professionally. It's a really hard thing to write, but just think about someone asking you in an elevator saying, hey, so who are you? Well, if you can describe yourself in the short ride in an elevator, that's kind of what the mission statement should be. Now for the fun part, languages and technologies. Now, I've seen all kinds of formats. I've seen kind of columns with bullet points. I've seen all kinds of different layouts. I've seen just straight commas all the way across. I know this, comma, this, comma, this, comma, this. Those get a little long. I really like the ones that are just like neatly stacked out, putting the most important ones to you toward the front of that list. Next up is job history. Now, this section's pretty formal. There is usually a format to it. What you're going to do is you're going to put the company name, the years or dates you were there, the title you had, and then usually a bulleted list of projects, key projects that you worked on, and highlighting technologies that you used and learned. You'll want to order these jobs from newest to oldest, but just don't feel like you have to go all the way back to your first job when you used to mow your grandpa's lawn. Unless that is the only job you've ever had, then you might want to list that. Finally, you're going to want to put your education. Where'd you go to school? High school, college, post-grad, whatever it be, you'll want to list it. You want to list when you went there, how long you went there, what you graduated with. After that, you can put your certifications and any other things that you have. But I think the most important thing is college, what you graduated with, that's it. Help me. All right, so next up is submitting your resume. So you've got a great tailored resume and it looks great. Awesome, it's short, it's simple, it's honest, perfect. You know, that is what you're after, but now you gotta take that resume and you gotta get it into the system. There are a few ways you can submit your resume. You can literally walk into the building for the company that you're interested in and say, here you go, sir, this is my resume. Judge me. Well, that's a little old-fashioned. We really don't see that happen anymore, especially since a lot of companies have offices that are in just like random buildings and you have to get through like 3 doors with security clearance to... The other way is usually a company that's big enough will have a website that you can actually submit to. Even companies that don't have their own professional submission place will typically have an email that you can submit your resume to. Recruiters can be a really good thing. They can be a bad thing. They submit resumes on your behalf. Now, if you go out and get a recruiter yourself through maybe a recommendation, that's actually a really good approach. First, they'll interview you and they'll figure out who you are, and they'll take your resume, help you build it, help you edit it, and then they'll submit it on your behalf, which kind of makes the process a little simpler. This just tastes so bad. All right, so it's really easy to look at your resume and just judge it and critique it. And sometimes you overanalyze it and you say, oh man, this needs to be a couple pixels to the left, or man, should my name be in bold or not? Honestly, it doesn't really matter. It's not like how they taught you in high school and they said, your resume is going to be on a stack of other people's resumes. It's like yay high, and there's going to be this guy who goes through it, or the guy or girl goes through it and says, oh, that one doesn't pop, and throws it out. And then this one, oh, that one is beautiful. It's got colors on it. And no, they don't do that. I mean, really what you're after is something simple. That's it. You can open up any given word processor. You can build it yourself. You can grab a template online and you can just fill in your information. That's what I did. It's just a piece of paper. Remember, a resume is just a ticket, and it's just there to get you that interview. So make it simple. Make it easy to read. Make it honest. Make it professional, but don't go overboard. Perfection is not necessary here. You can do it yourself, but what I would do is what I have done is I have built out my resume, and then I've had someone review it and edit it. I think that's a huge part. The last thing you want to do is misspell a word on your resume, like misspelling resume. What if you misspelled the word technical in your mission statement? I am a very technical person, and it's actually technical. That would be terrible. I, as a person who would be looking at that, would say, oh, well, this person doesn't have an attention to detail. Nope. Résumé. All right, so that's a wrap. That's resumes. If you have any questions, call me. No, don't call me. Email me instead. That's much easier. If you haven't yet, you can subscribe to the button. You can like or dislike, comments below. Head over to the blog. More detail will be there. I'll have my resume there for you to look at and scrutinize, and that's fine. You can comment on it and tell me what's wrong with it. Maybe I misspelled a word. You should help me fix that, please. Thank you in advance, by the way, because not so great at spelling. Yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. Just don't call me. Adios. Contains phenylalanine. Hey, it's got caffeine in it though. It's got 46 milligrams. That's what keeps me going. Look at this. I have two. I had one earlier and I drank it. I don't know why. I should just stick to coffee instead. This stuff is gross. When I'm done with this, I'm gonna be sick. But I need it for the caffeine. Send help. Customer information, call 1-800-438-2653. Yeah, hi. Your drink tastes like garbage. I did it. I did it. I drank the whole thing. It was terrible.